I'm an audio engineer and I'm a music producer, and I just want to say a lot of stuff to audio engineers, especially and music producers who are just starting up, a career when it comes to audio production. Even people who are even right in the field, it goes beyond just the total number of plugins you might have. But all that matters is your understanding of what you're trying to create. Because I tend to see people mistaking mixing for just slamming on plugins or asking for presets. Trust me, it's not just about presets. If you can just take your time and understand basics of music engineering skill, or probably the kind of VSTs you use even while you're producing music, you get to make yourself familiar with all these things, and you having a kind of knowledge about what kind of sound I want, what is the actual thing I want to recreate. You will know the right tools, the go-to right tools, to navigate or to access when you need to recreate stuff like that. So, for example, if you are a music producer or an audio engineer who is trying to get a good depth of like a kick without it clashing with other frequencies, the normal conventional way of you have to carve out the lows with your EQ and carve out some of the highs. It works, but at some point, does that conventional theory, does that apply to the actual thing you're trying to achieve? Because it's like you don't have to move any knob unless you have a reason to do that. So if you're trying to say, okay, I want to use an EQ, why are you using the EQ? Do you even understand what the EQ is even doing to what you are doing? For example, now you might say, I want to try to get a very good crispy vocal. It's now until you carve out the whole thing until you reach like 100 hertz. If that was what you saw probably in the video you get to see online or what someone told you, does that actually apply to the vocal you're even working on? So you have to listen and know the reason behind you doing some certain things. Or maybe if you want to do your mastering now, and you're telling me it's only because you just want it to be loud, you just have to just slam a limiter or a clipper just to make it. No, it's not meant to be. No. Or maybe you want to add like a limiter just to slam it on a track, and that's all you call your mastering. No, it is actually wrong. You have your reasons behind. Okay, I want to try to make my mix wider. Then you can use a stereo imager, and if it's only needed, or maybe you're trying to add a reverb on a dry vocal, or maybe on an instrument, does that instrument even need that reverb? So you have to be intentional with your stuff. So let me try to explain some certain stuff you have to get yourself good, and I'll explain it in a brief way I can. So firstly is about how you listen to music. How you listen to music makes it 50% clear to you. Because how you listen to music will be different from how a regular person tends to listen to music for pleasure. For you're listening to the whole track thing in a critical way, whereby you can navigate what effect was done as at any point in time you heard it. Or maybe you were trying to feel how the snare was, being well fine-tuned and well balanced, and you're trying to find the ones at the pan. You can pay attention to all these things. Second point I'm going to EQ, because you understanding EQ, take EQ as a room whereby we have a set of like orchestras, but you can't expect them to have the same texture of voice. Some might be basic, some might have a very thin vocal, some might have a very rich baritone kind of voice, some might have the ones that lies in between, like a very mid vocal, but not too thick and not too high. And at some point, you have them in that room. But now, how well you want to balance them? But mind you also, why you trying to navigate them by placing them as at where their frequencies lie, maybe by arranging them on a straight line, you might have about 2 or 3 or 4, 5 persons who fall in the same range. How well will you know how to balance them? So that at some point cause like clashing when it comes to like frequencies. But let me explain more about the EQ thing with the representation of the people I said earlier. Now, you trying to navigate people who tend to sing from the bass to like the thinnest texture of whatever sound you can actually perceive with your ear. Now, arranging them from your 0 Hz to like your 30 kHz. So that's like a standard measurement of sound, and that's the unit hertz. That is what we use to measure sound. So if you arrange them, you can see how well they are balanced in the frequency room. So that's why you won't see maybe when you're playing a balanced sound, you will start seeing the ones of like your low frequencies coming so high, and at the end of the day, maybe the high is not well matched with the volume balance of that one. It causes imbalanced sound. So it will always make your sound not audible or cool enough to be heard on any audio output. So in as much as you can understand how well you can balance your sound, then you have a step further understanding EQ. Now, EQ also tends to be a tool for subtracting and adding. And adding what? Adding all those frequency to probably match up or to decrease. And now we have two kind of ways you can navigate your EQ. And you can have like your static EQ thing, or you can have like your dynamic EQ thing. So thank God for the likes of FabFilter Q3. Yeah, FabFilter Q3 is a very good EQ for static EQ and dynamic EQ. And this is what I mean by static EQ. And this is what I also mean by dynamic EQ. Yeah, so you trying to understand all those things will now make you now trying to now navigate your way around compressor. Compressor is another tool, a very great tool for audio engineering and music production. Because one way or the other, if you can understand what compressor is, it will always make your mix, well, let me say dynamic and even, because it won't sound artificial. It will sound as natural as possible if you can understand it. So let me try to explain words compressor mean in the representation of human figure. So now those set of people that I explained in the EQ, let's now say, okay, we've measured them or we've balanced them based on the texture of their vocals or their own texture of sound. If we can now go further by arranging these people, or let me say balancing these people with the level of their height, because let's now say we want a well balanced height, or let's now say if we are not looking at it from the perspective of height, let me look at it from the perspective of like loudness. Because if we can get to see which one is so loud, which one is so low, how well can we make them even? Because if we can make them even, that is the work of a compressor. So a compressor tends to dock down the highest volume or highest peak of a sound, docking it down to whatever measurement of ratio and maybe the application of like a threshold. It depends on what you do, but it tends to now also bring up the ones that are low. That is now when you make use of your makeup gain thing. Because one beautiful thing about compressor, if your sounds or if your flow it's not dynamic enough, for example, if it's like this, a compressor will make it like this. It will go as steady on a particular way. That is even like the normal traditional meaning of compressor. It compresses. So you are to determine how much you're compressing from that actual vocal.